Closet, a Todd Mills mystery. Book 1. Author R.D. Zimmerman. Publisher Scribble Pub. Minneapolis, Minnesota. Narrator Eric Aust. Chapter 36. A big grin on his face. Rawlings rapidly went through the stack of papers, amazed at how much it was totaling. Much more than he had expected. He sorted through 3 more statements and calculated that on an average it totaled about $23,000 per month. Quite a substantial sum, no doubt about it, and all of it pure profit. "Holy shit," he muttered with a smile on his face. "Someone's getting filthy rich." And he knew who, of course. Good God, who wouldn't kill for this kind of money? This operation was nearly perfect in simplicity. A scam like this could go on just about forever. A true cash cow. One that kept on giving. Reaching for the calculator, Rawlings started crunching the numbers. At $23,000 per month times 12 months, that equaled $276,000 a year. Multiply that times 3.3. All this had been in place and working without flaw for over 3 years now. And you had over 900,000. Shit. Almost $1 million as of now. If you added in interest, then maybe it was $1 million. No. You had to take out taxes too. After all, even a crooked operation like this had to have a clean face. He sat back, ran his hand through his short brown hair. Who would have ever thought that embezzling could be so easy? It was as surefire way to get rich as any he'd ever seen, and he'd seen and studied a good number of ploys in his years on the force. Of course, there were any number of ways to make bigger money, and faster too, but in his opinion this was far superior. The tortoise way. Start slow, finish first. Nothing so big that it would attract attention. You don't want the feds descending from the heavens, and you definitely don't want to go strutting around in a glitzy, diamond-studded tiara as Queen Jeff had suggested. To act like that was as foolish as it was ignorant. A way to send up fireworks. "Yo, cops! Yo, IRS, over here. Look at all the money. I got diamonds and gowns. Too. Come and arrest me, please!" No. To quote one particularly nasty little asshole, evil was patient. Most definitely so. Okay. So you start a business, a little one, perhaps just as they had, and it's all legit. You even get in some outside money, and then you set up another company. A phony one. Say the ABC Corporation. Next, you get some nice fake bills printed at one of those instant places. The kind that do the work nice and cheap and don't ask questions. And then you get a mailbox, preferably at a big anonymous post office like the one downtown. Lastly, but most important, you start billing the legit company on a monthly basis for consulting services rendered. Sure, that's it. 23 grand. Okay, that's a lot. So you pull a few little punches. You vary the monthly bill every now and then. Maybe only $18,000 in August and nearly $30,000 in November, when new product development is on the front burner, as long as the first company shows a profit. However, everything is fine. All is good. The investors would be delighted. After all, you can't go broke making a profit. Then you deposit the funds in the ABC Corporation's money market account, declare taxes, and so on, and live happily ever after. Oh, sure. There were a few expenses, like paying off the accountant at the legitimate company, but that was peanuts. The important thing was to keep quiet, and be steady and consistent, and eliminate any obstacles along the way. Right, thought Rawlings. You always have to get rid of the obstacles, the things that want to trip you up. Rising from the table, Rawlings stretched, then stepped over to the stereo and turned it up even louder. Too bad about Michael. Murdered merely because he'd asked a few questions and followed up on a few things. So smart. Too smart. He was one of the obstacles that had to be gotten rid of, for he'd garnered too much information, thereby threatening the entire arrangement. Who would have thought their trio, Michael, Jeff, and Rawlings, would have ended like this, in murder? As boys, they'd been such innocents. Devious little shits, true, but innocents first. 3 little boys, laughter rising from their throats as they bombed around Linden Hills on their Schwinn's. But now nothing but tragedy. He never would have imagined such a sad ending. Rawlings shook his head, forgot all about the money, and thought about Michael. the first and only person Rawlings had ever truly loved. Nothing had been as pure nor as intense as what he had felt for him. For handsome, wonderful, funny Michael. He'd been the first person that Rawlings had ever slept with, and while he'd known right from that instant, what, were they 19? That Michael was the only person for him. He'd made one critical mistake. He'd pushed too hard. He'd come on too strong. And that had sent the young Michael, who had yet to accept his homosexuality, fleeing as fast and as far as he could, which had devastated Rawlings. Like a broken wing, it proved a rejection that Rawlings had never been able to get over. From then on, every potential suitor was judged against Michael, against his charm and warmth, and all of them came up short. In one way or another, well, nearly all. After his tumultuous break with Michael, the two had avoided one another, seeking out separate friends, different parties, entirely distinct careers. In the 3 or 4 times that they had bumped into each other, over the years they had turned quickly and silently away, scowling, even fleeing the situation, until, of course, the other evening at the Gay Times, in a conversation initiated by none other than Michael. Michael, who'd seen Rawlings across the bar and come over to him. Michael, who'd begged his counsel. "Things are souring with my lover, Todd," Michael had sobbed. "I can't take the pressure of being with someone so uptight, so closeted." Rawlings had listened, said little, stood there smirking, thinking, "Now you know what it's like, asshole. Let me see you cry," and silently wondering if Michael, the object of his obsession, even realized that Rawlings had never, not for a moment, fallen out of love with him. But of course Michael hadn't, as Rawlings had learned later when he'd stopped by Michael's. "Oh, forget it," thought Rawlings, moving toward the window. It was far too late. There was no fixing things, nor would there ever be. That time had come and gone, and opportunity missed yet again, this time forever. There was a brief pause between songs on the CD, and in that instant of silence, Rawlings heard not only the screaming of the tea kettle from within the kitchen, but something else. He froze. What the hell was that? A sound of some sort from outside. Running, pounding steps. Someone was out there. He automatically moved away from the window and pressed himself against the wall, and there it was. A figure, that of a man, scurrying through the dark. Ah, shit. This was no ordinary burglar, Rawlings sensed at once. He rushed over to his leather jacket, which was thrown over a chair in the living room, and lifted his department-issued gun from its holster. Then he slipped back over to a side window, pushed aside the curtain, stared into the dark night. There was nothing, only his car, the deserted lot next door, and the thick bushes beyond. Wait, no. Up there by the front bush. Yes, whoever was out there was now crouched by the corner of the front porch. Rawlings studied the figure, but couldn't ascertain who it was. He had an inkling for sure, and most definitely feared who it might be, and when the man outside moved from behind the bush and around the front of the porch, Rawlings immediately rushed through the living room and into the front hall. For an instant he thought about charging outside, but then he thought far better of it. Right. Just let the unsuspecting bastard in. Make sure he was the vulnerable one. With that in mind, Rawlings bent over and scurried to the front door, which he silently unlocked. Then he slipped deep into the back hall and waited. Just let him come to me, he thought, lifting his gun. A Gay Mysteries audiobooks. I think it is easy to hate a label, but a face humanizes the word. So this effort is twofold. To offer comfort to those like myself that your world didn't end because you don't fit into the view of acceptable society on both sides. And in hopes of helping those with family that are LGBTQ, that it doesn't mean we are aliens from the child they once knew. Reassure them so they can maybe be supportive at the same time, being true to their values.